Greetings and salutations, folks. Welcome, 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 Patriots, to the Raw Feed. My name is Brett Siegel, filling in for the great Gary Franchi this week. And folks, we are live streaming to millions worldwide on YouTube, Rumble, and X. This is week 21 of Donald Trump's triumphant return to the White House. And what a crazy week it has been. Before we dive into today's explosive topics, remember, what sets us apart is you. We're reading your live chat reactions throughout the show. So fire up those keyboards. And for our ex-viewers, repost this stream to your followers right now. And let's also bypass big tech's algorithms together. Share this via text message to everyone you know, anyone who needs to hear the truth. Got something burning to say? Send those super chats and Rumble rants right now, and we will be featuring them on screen between segments for the world to see. Don't wait. Send them in. Fire it up. You know, on this day in history, June 20th, 1963, President Kennedy signed the nuclear test ban treaty with the Soviet Union, preventing atmospheric nuclear testing. Today, we face another nuclear showdown as Trump gives Iran just 2 weeks to abandon their nuclear ambitions or face the consequences. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often does rhyme. Speaking of history in the making, Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill is about to revolutionize America. No tax on tips for our hardworking service industry, billions for modernizing ancient air traffic control systems, and the crypto revolution begins as America becomes the blockchain capital of the world. Want to support this show privately? Hit those donation links in the description at givesendgo.com/keep-next-news-alive. Or through PayPal. Every dollar helps bring you the uncensored truth. And that's just the beginning. The Supreme Court just delivered a death punch to the trans medical complex. Tennessee's ban on child mutilation stands. Pete Hegseth is cleaning house in the Pentagon. No more pronoun training. It's back to military readiness. And check out our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Wear your favorite news source with pride and trigger a liberal today. That's shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. And meanwhile, California is burning. And I don't just mean the wildfires that could have been prevented by liberal Democrats. Gavin Newsom tried to steal control of the National Guard from Trump and got unanimously slapped down by the appeals court. Even CNN's legal analyst says, what he says, don't appeal. You'll lose even worse at SCOTUS. The streets are chaos. Mexican flags flying while American flags burn. This is what one-party Democrat rule looks like. You want exclusive access Join our YouTube channel memberships. Each level unlocks special perks, acknowledgement in the chats, behind the scenes content, and access to our members only 24/7 Discord. Click join below and become a part of the Next News family. And the border? Tom Homan, he's got over 1,000 ICE teams deployed. The message is simple. Self-deport now with cash and a free flight, or get arrested and banned for life. In May, exactly 0 illegal aliens were released into America. You heard that right. 0. Today, we're exposing 5 massive stories that mainstream media won't touch. From Iran's nuclear deadline to the collapse of sanctuary cities. From the death of gender ideology to the birth of crypto dominance, and we're going to be covering it all. Iran's supreme leader is scurried away like a cockroach hiding in a bunker while our Doomsday plane lands at Andrews Air Force Base. This is totally groundbreaking. Carrier strike groups are in position. That's it, folks. The ultimate test of Trump's peace through strength doctrine. So buckle up, patriots. Share this stream, send those super chats, and let's show big tech that we, the people, control the narrative. The raw feed starts now. So let's welcome you in the chat room in just one moment. I want to bring someone on who I think you guys are going to really enjoy. Our fearless leader, Gary Franchi. Welcome to the show. I hope you had a great vacation.
I did, Brett, and I'm getting good news. You're doing a great job over there covering in the sacred Next News seat, and you're doing great. I can hear it already, and yeah, it was, it was a wild vacation. The kids really had a great time. I'm surprised I was able to survive Universal Studios, but it was really cool going to the new theme park they had set up, and just the nostalgia, of watching the kids run around and play, and just, that's really what we do this for. We report the news, we bring the world's, we bring perspective on the world events, and it's also we can make informed decisions for our families. So the little ones can have a childhood that resembles something of freedom and enjoyment, really. So
exactly, and
yeah.
I can't help but wonder sometimes, because when you go on Disney Plus, it's all just a bunch of weird lesbian trans stuff. Was there any semblance of that at the Disney parks? You went to Universal, so was that a part of your calculus?
We didn't go to any Disney parks. We haven't been to Disney parks in quite some time. I mean, they have their own place, in my childhood. My parents used to take us to Disney and Epcot all the time. But we my brother and sister-in-law, they were on the trip as well with their kids, and they did go to Disney. And they said that it was kind of shocking. They said that they were treated really poorly. Like there was this air of entitlement and just overly sensitive employees, team members, I guess they call them, and straight up like men dressed as princesses with beards in the princess shop, right? It's like it's an alternate universe there. So that's why our family really likes to go to Universal Studios. We didn't feel like there was this massive pride push. I mean, yeah, you saw like a couple pride signs. It wasn't in your face. Like at Disney, right. Like, man, it's all over. Like it's the safest place on earth, if you're part of the alphabet community.
Right. They're trying to beat you over the head with it, just like they do on Disney Plus. I mean, just for the fact alone that we can't stick on our television without seeing some sort of weird transgender, LMNOP, LGTV, it makes me not want to visit the Disney park. And I remember having so much fun when I was a kid. It's just not what it used to be anymore. They used to tell stories. Now they're just trying to incite this narrative and trying to press all this propaganda onto your children and get them while they're young. That's really their motto right now, is get them while they're young.
Well, because they don't reproduce, so they have to instill this idea that you can be whatever you want to be, right? Like you do see it on the billboards when you're driving into the parks. A lot of Disney billboards were like, dream, whatever. Like it's like you could tell that they're trying to instill this. You can do anything. You can be anything
Right.
you want. You can be a fire engine if you want to be a fire engine. All right. You can be
Right.
a lion if you want to be a lion. Like that's the idea that they're. You could tell. I mean, I can see it, but like the average kid's going to read it and they're not going to understand. They're being indoctrinated by the words on the billboard when they see Moana or the mermaid or whatever it is. So but we went to Universal, had a great time. There's a new park. It's called Epic Universe, and it has multiple like different universes. You go through like a portal. Each portal takes you into this totally themed out world. Right? They had Mario World, and with Mario and Luigi and the princess and King Koopa and whatever, all different things. And then they had Mario Kart ride was really cool. Donkey Kong, and then the universe next to that was like all classic movie monsters, like the classic ones, like
Right.
your Wolfman and Frankenstein and um, the Phantom of the Opera and stuff like that, right? So
Right.
that was a cool park.
That
And
sounds
then
like
there
so much
was
fun.
the How to Train Your Dragon. Now I see I didn't have any attachment to that.
Hmm.
That movie came out before you know, like it was just before I was already past that point.
Right.
So on our last night, uh, my kids are like, let's watch How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, I'll bite. This is our last night here. Let's all sit on the couch and watch How to Train Your Dragon 2. And I had like, man, that movie like just it hits you. Like it's like there's a lot of emotional scenes of the mother and the father and
Hmm.
the kid and you're like, damn, this is like emotionally like triggering with respect to the themes played out in the movie, and then when you're watching the movie, then you can see the different themes that are played out in the park. Universal does a really good job of bringing forth the themes of the movies into reality, and so it was a lot of fun. But I'm like in let's see, today's Friday, says Sunday 6 o'clock. Angie and I are leaving for the Netherlands for a week to cover the NATO summit.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing we have.
Absolutely. So you have this big trip coming up. What are we to? What is the purpose of this trip? What are we going to get during the week? I'm going to be over here holding down the fort for you in the meantime, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the great coverage that we get. Like how's this going to work?
Well, right now our first assignment is President Trump's arrival in the Netherlands. Now we're not allowed to discuss time or place or anything logistically. It's non-reportable information that we just received from the White House, but we did register. Um, your brother Todd, he's familiar with these types of events because
Yep.
he's covered Air Force One arrivals in Florida. So this is now an Air Force One arrival in the Netherlands.
Right.
So uh, we land at 9:30 in the morning local time. It's an 8-hour direct flight, and so we and what's wild is the White House actually booked our hotel. Like we had to go through a bit. Like man, it's the
Wow.
last couple of weeks have been really like razor thin margins of error. Like, for example, we had to get our passports renewed a couple of years back before I went and met Donald Trump for the first time. My passport was stolen out of my Ferrari the day before. Right, I'm going to get a new suit. I'm going to meet the president. I'm cruising around in my car. I'm living life. I'm high as hell because I'm like I'm going to meet the freaking president of the United States, and I had all this cash on me because I had to make a big donation, and my freaking passport is in the envelope. I go in. Now, I'd already made the deposit. I already made the donation, so the money wasn't there, but the passport was still in my car. But I was being tracked from bank to bank,
Wow.
and my passport was stolen out of the car. I'm like literally like not even dressed in the changing room, and the clerk runs into the dressing room and goes, Gary, your car's getting robbed. I'm like, what? I run out. My pants are like not even on, and these thugs are running away. So they took my
That's wild.
passport. So it was a mess, but
Of all the
you know,
things.
yeah. Flash forward now. I had to get a new passport. So last Friday we had to do this whole thing go to the passport office, 2 hours, get pictures taken, answer all these questions, like swear an oath and all that. And then the passports arrived while we were in Florida, and we needed to have the passport numbers and pictures of the passport to fill out the NATO credentialing process, which, again, okay, so for the NATO credentialing process, we had to fill out all the forms by June 6th. So we go to the website on June 6th, and it's like locked down. It's already shut down. The registration for the NATO summit was already over for
Like
media.
midnight on June 6th.
Yeah, like I'm thinking June 6th, but they're 7 hours ahead, so their timeline is totally different.
Right.
So now I'm panicking, and I'm emailing the White House. I'm emailing the White House travel office. I'm going. I'm emailing. I'm like, the United States represents 70% of NATO's budget. It is time for the United States to flex the First Amendment rights of its citizens and uphold the free press by enabling Gary and Angie to go. And you must dictate to them the terms. You know, it was a pretty dramatic email that went, but the White House stepped up, and we were coordinating, going back and forth with emails with NATO and the White House, and then we get the email for the credentialing process, and then they wouldn't take our driver's license, so I had to resubmit with a passport. So we had to have someone go to our house, get the mail, open up the passports, take pictures, send them to us. We had to resubmit the NATO applications, email back to the White House, make sure that they knew what the process was going. And then the White House put us on the roster for the White House diplomatic media, the White House delegation. So Angie and I are officially part of the White House media delegation for the president, supporting his trip. So when that happens, the White House books your hotel accommodations. So last night at like midnight, I call the Netherlands hotel, which they wouldn't release the name of the hotel for security reasons. Finally, they released the name of the hotel, and I call, it's this Dutch woman on the phone, like, okay, and then finally she starts speaking English, and it's like the Swedish chef and stuff, right? And so they don't find my name. They don't find my name in the list. I'm like, what? This is great. We spent $10,000 on airline tickets, and now I don't have a hotel reservation. She's like, don't worry. I'm like, we're with the White House delegation. The White House booked these tickets. I didn't book them. And so then she's like, I'll call you back. So I waited about an hour. She called back. She found a reservation. So apparently the White House booked us some pretty nice rooms.
Nice.
I've heard mixed stories about when the White House books, but apparently they booked us some nice rooms, which are about 30 minutes from the airport and 30 minutes from the NATO summit location.
That sounds perfect. Hey, listen, at least it's locked down. We've got world leaders there. And, it would be super nice if we could lock down the southern border just like that. It would be a much different country that we live in if that were the case. But I'm really looking forward to hearing what your trip is going to be like. I'm really looking forward to the kind of coverage that you get.
Yeah,
I hope you and Angie have a great time too.
Yeah, so we don't really know what to expect. So we're going to treat this as if it's basically like we're going to the White House and we're covering what's happening at the White House, except we're going to be in a high security location, which is, The Hague. And, we're going to get our daily press guidance. The White House is going to be providing shuttle buses for us from the hotel to the summit location.
Swanky.
And yeah, so what I'm thinking, I don't know where the president is staying, but if he's staying in our hotel, holy cow, how cool would that be? That means that the presidential motorcade is going to leave our hotel to go to the NATO summit. And if we're in the shuttle, we're going to be in the motorcade.
That's awesome.
Going to the summit with the president. So that's going to be a trip of a lifetime. So we don't know anything. They don't tell us anything. You just got to roll with the punches and just report what you see and what you hear. So what I hope to be able to provide everybody is a really intimate behind the scenes look at what the NATO summit really is like, from an inside the media pool perspective. And
Right.
then once we get there, like I'm assuming, much like at the White House, there's gaggles that take place, there's press conferences. I mean, who knows if Zelensky's going to be there? What other members of NATO are going to be there? And all this against the backdrop of what's happening with Israel and Iran. And like you just mentioned at the open of the show, you've got Trump's giving them a 2 week window before what? Before all hell breaks loose, even
Right.
worse.
Yeah.
So, and then against the backdrop of the Ukraine and Russia situation, which is not developing as Trump wanted it to. So there's so many hot spots globally, and the Warhawks are just they're seething. They're just like, yes,
I know they're chomping at the bit
like
right
they're
now.
chomping at the bit. Like
Yes.
Lindsey Graham, that son of a bitch. All he wants to do, there's never been a war he doesn't like. I mean, all he wants to do is bomb. He wants to bomb the hell out of everybody, and it's like, and it's like I'm seeing
Doesn't
both sides of the perspective,
right.
right?
Yes.
I'm seeing like people want, like, God, man, I'm hearing people say regime change in Iran, and on the other side, people are saying, don't listen to Israel, don't listen to Israel, and I'm like, dude, like it feels like Bush, Iraq, all over again, and
Yes.
I don't want Trump to fall into that trap where he's listening to the Warhawks with respect to regime change in Iran. Now, I understand. Yes, Iran is a terrorist state. I get it. But that's also our freaking fault because we did the original regime change that brought them to where they are today. So all of this shit that's going on is our own fault. And now we're going to do another regime change. I think that's just going to solve the problem again. Like, come
Right.
on.
I
It's
think
like,
President Trump is handling this pretty well. He's not really telling you exactly what he's going to do. And to be honest, I don't necessarily want to know exactly what he's going to do before he does it. If I know it, then so do the bad guys. The bad
yeah,
guys know it
exactly.
too. Obama went in there with his hard red line and he basically threw in the white towel before anything could have been done. And obviously that didn't even work anyway. He just sent them pallets of cash. But I don't
Yeah.
mind a little stoicism and, well, maybe we'll do it. Maybe, I don't know. I'll decide later. That's his
Well, no, yeah,
prerogative.
yeah, yeah. Keep him guessing. And talk softly but carry a big stick.
Right.
Trump is a little different. He talks loudly and he carries a big stick.
Right.
So it's just, listen. I don't want to see war as much as the next person.
Same.
I'm a non-interventionist foreign policy type of a person, but I also understand the stakes of when
Right.
you have situations that do call for some level of, you know like we can't just become so isolationist that the whole entire world is revolving and we don't even know what's going on.
Right.
Like we still have to have a place in guiding the world, but like, what does the Bible say? Um don't be don't be of the world. I forgot what the Bible says. Don't be of the world, but don't be in the world, but whatever.
It's okay.
The
Listen,
saying.
I think
You
that
guys are gonna tell me in the chat. I know it.
I think that whatever happens, I think I think we elected Trump because we believe he's going to make the right decision. I don't think he wants to go to war any more than any of us want to go to war. But what I do know is that when someone is charging at you, screaming, "I'm going to kill you and behead you
Yeah,
and take your women and your children,"
yeah,
um, you better believe them. You're better off believing them than just say, "Oh, it's just Iran popping
yeah,
off at the mouth again." Can we really afford to take that risk? I don't know. That's why I'm hoping that Trump makes the right choice, but I think that he's
yeah.
going to. I think
Yeah,
that he's
no,
going
he'll
to.
make the right choice. We voted for him because we trust his judgment, and we have to kind of let the big boys, figure this out. But we have a unique opportunity in just a few days to help shift the global narrative by being in the center of
Yes.
international global politics and war, the war machine at the international level. So the reporting that we're going to be providing next week is going to probably be some of the most pivotal and historic reporting that has ever happened on this channel. So we're going to be sending you the clips, Brett and Todd and Brian. You guys will be able to process them. Well, I'll probably be uploading them to X, and then you guys can pull them from there. I might. We bought a new data plan, mobile data plan, so I might even just spontaneously go live
Sure.
from the summit. I don't know. Like, it's all up in the air. But our first assignment is Monday night when Trump lands, and it's probably just going to be Air Force One. It's just going to be a touchdown. He's
We
going to
want to
get in
see
the
that
beast.
too.
He's going to. Hey, I want to see it.
We want to see that.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
but
Brett's seen
the
it.
audience, I'm sure, wants to see, even though it might just an
Todd's seen
airplane
it, yeah.
landing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but that's the first order of business, and then we also got to get checked in with our press, the press passes and such on Monday afternoon. Get a lay of the land, and then the summit begins on the 24th, and then my birthday is on June 25th, so I'll be celebrating. I think my 47th.
happy
How old am
birthday.
I? 47,
How
48.
old am I?
Yeah.
Stop counting
Yeah, I'm like,
at a certain
whatever.
point.
So I'll be celebrating my birthday at the NATO summit, which is going to be pretty cool.
That
And then we come
is,
back on Saturday.
you should definitely come on for a birthday episode, and I'll be here taking care of things in the meantime. There's
Well, it's going to be
nothing to worry about.
the time difference is 7 or 8 hours. So I'm not sure how we'll be able to coordinate anything live. I mean, whenever, like, if Todd texts me when you guys are live, and depending on what time of day it is, we could probably just bounce in like we are now.
Sure.
But we'll play it by ear.
Sounds great. And speaking of making history, we're going to get to our show. And how did you feel about that? Are you happy?
I'll let you go. Yes, I'm gonna quit talking. I'm gonna hand the reins back over to you, and you have a great show.
I'm so excited that you had a great birthday and that you went to the right theme park, the one where you don't have weird bearded men in dresses chasing after your children trying to cut off their genitalia. That's basically the better choice. I look forward to going to Legoland and to Mario World with my son at Universal. I'm going to stay away from Disney because that doesn't sound like fun anymore. But we're going to get to our.
Have a good show.
Thanks. We'll see you soon.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Let's kick it off to the chat real quick. How is everybody doing? Let's give it up for Gary Franchi. This guy has built a small empire here, and he has a birthday coming up soon. He's going to be chilling out in NATO, making history. Happy birthday, Gary. Happy birthday, Gary. God bless Gary, overeducated SP. Bye, Gary. Happy birthday. Akadi Angel. Robert Lockhart, the most reliable way to predict the future is to create it. Abraham Lincoln. That's some very, very good advice. Sharon says, happy birthday, Gary. Have fun. Lots of America emojis. We love that. Milo, happy birthday, Gary. Can we talk about chemtrails one day? We're going to have to take that with the higher ups. We'll see that. Happy birthday, Gary. Bong, James Bong. We have a lot of love for our leader, Gary Franchi. Happy birthday, Gary, from North Carolina, from Irony Rose. Overeducated SP, Brett Schmidt, doing a great job, brother. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. Now let's dive into our historical trivia question. Which president ordered Operation Eagle Claw, the failed rescue mission during the Iran hostage crisis? A, Gerald Ford, B, Jimmy Carter, C, Ronald Reagan, or D, Richard Nixon? Now, tell us what you think in the chat. We're going to be getting to that a little bit later. These are some very interesting and sometimes very obscure questions. Uncle Todd gave us a pretty obscure question the other day. It was, what room number were Nixon's lackeys arrested in? And I'll never forget that one. Now, they said Congress was too broken, too divided, too corrupt to pass anything meaningful. But right now, crypto innovators are returning from offshore exile. And our nation's crumbling air traffic control system is finally getting the overhaul that it desperately needs. This isn't just another spending bill. It's a complete reimagining of how government can actually work for the people, not against the people. The establishment said that Trump couldn't deliver, but the big, beautiful bill is here, and it's changing everything. Keep watching. Now, here's the hard truth about protecting what you built. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half of its buying power. That means a $100,000 savings today becomes $50,000 by 2031. That's half. You see it at the pump, you see it at the grocery store, you see it at Disney, you see it at Universal, you see it buying toys for your kids, you see it everywhere. But there's a proven way to protect your wealth: gold. That's why I invest and trust in Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to safeguard your savings with physical gold or silver. No pressure, no call centers, just honest guidance and transparent pricing. Right now, qualified accounts get a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar. Visit nextnewsgold.com to learn more. Don't just protect your wealth, preserve its power. Now, the one big beautiful bill isn't just legislation or a tongue twister. It's Trump delivering on promises that politicians have been making for decades. Watch as a Nevada service worker explains exactly what no tax on tips means for real Americans struggling to survive Biden's inflation. Take a look.
Back home, Espinosa says not paying federal taxes would free up hundreds of dollars each month.
I don't know what the holdup is. I don't know what the politics are, but if we can cut the BS now and save a lot of families from tougher and tougher times, it can help out a lot of people.
In a town where the House always wins, tip workers are waiting to see if Washington will let them keep the change.
No more federal theft from hardworking American tips. You know, this country was founded on like a 3% tax on a breakfast beverage and paper, okay? I mean, what we've got going on now is absolutely obscene. They are literally pillaging our worth. But this bill goes far beyond tax relief. The crypto revolution that Biden tried to kill, it's back with a vengeance. Here's White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs explain how America is about to dominate the digital economy. Take a look at clip 2.
This is one of the core uses of blockchain technology, is that it can facilitate faster settlement, lower fees, more transparency. It's a smoother, faster payment system. One of the big use cases that's emerged for blockchain infrastructure is simply to support the moving of the traditional U.S. dollar into crypto wallets, and they can be used as a new kind of payment system. So this is very exciting. I think this is the kind of innovation we want to support. Before President Trump's election, all the innovation in the crypto community was moving offshore because Biden had declared war on crypto. President Trump declared that he wanted to make the United States the crypto capital of the planet. He wants to support innovation and growth. And I think that this stablecoin bill will be, I think, a major success for his agenda.
Now, think about that. All innovation was fleeing offshore under Biden's war on crypto. And now it's flooding back because Trump declared America will be the crypto capital of the planet. Watch David Sachs break down the Genius Act, bipartisan legislation that just passed the Senate, creating a framework for digital dollars that will revolutionize finance. Let's watch it.
Well, I think this is a huge milestone, Maria. I mean, this has been years since the Senate has passed bipartisan legislation like this. And what this bill does is provide a regulatory framework for the stablecoin industry so that digital dollars can be issued online. I think this will increase confidence in the stablecoin industry. It'll encourage the issuers to come onshore into the United States. Previously, the lack of clarity was driving the innovation offshore. And it's going to provide additional consumer protection because the stablecoin issuers have to be audited on a quarterly basis. Token holders can be confident that for every token that's issued, there's $1 reserved in a U.S. bank account. And as a result of that, we could see the float of stablecoins grow from hundreds of billions into possibly trillions, creating new demand for U.S. Treasury. So I think this is a big win for the crypto community, and I think it's a big win for the president's agenda.
Stablecoins growing from billions to trillions. Now, that's not speculation. That is American innovation unleashed when government gets out of the way. The SEC chairman, Paul Atkins, confirms even more game-changing legislation is coming. The Clarity Act, will finally give crypto the regulatory certainty that it needs to explode. Check this out.
I'm hoping that these two bills, the Clarity Act and the Genius Act, will make it through Congress and to the president's desk, and that he'll sign them. But in the meantime, we will go forth and help to bring clarity to these markets.
The framework is here. American dominance in blockchain technology is assured. But here's what really sets the Trump agenda apart. He's not just thinking about Wall Street. He's fixing the infrastructure that keeps everyday Americans safe. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy reveals the shocking state of our air traffic control system and how the big, beautiful bill fixes it. Take a look.
Another key component is a $12.5 billion investment in upgrading the Federal Aviation Administration's air traffic control system. It follows several high-profile plane crashes across the country this year. He says San Diego's outdated tower is not a standalone case.
This is what we're seeing in America across the country. And it is long overdue that we actually put the money, put the resources into fixing our air traffic control system.
Duffy says that money would upgrade telecommunications from copper wires to fiber. It would also provide funds for new radios, voice switches, radar technology, and some tower upgrades.
This is a critical need for us. The challenges facing our nation's air traffic control system didn't just arise overnight, but they're here today.
All right, let me put this in perspective to you, what the gargantuan difference in quality this is going to be. If you're talking about internet, a copper wire will give you maybe 1 or 2 megabytes up and down. But a fiber optic wire, we're talking tens of thousands of gigabytes. We're talking a gigantic amount. That might not be exactly correct, but we're talking about a gigantic, huge difference, okay? But $12.5 billion, is about to change everything. Our planes are going to be safer. Now, Duffy breaks down exactly what the money will do. New radars, new radios, fiber optic cables replacing ancient copper. This isn't pork barrel spending. This is going to save American lives and unleash the economy. Take a look.
What you'll see is new radar. And you will get new radios here, and you will get new voice switches. That's part of the $12.5 billion. That's going to happen around the country.
From coast to coast, every airport, every control tower, all getting upgrades, the upgrades that they desperately need to keep you safe in the skies. Now, here's Secretary Duffy explaining why this can't wait any longer. Lives are literally at stake. Check this out.
In the big, beautiful bill, there's $12.5 billion that's going to be deployed for an upgrade of telecom. What does that mean? It means we're going to move from copper wires to fiber, which, by the way, the FAA is one of the last organizations in the world that still uses copper. We're going to get new radios, and we're going to get new voice switches as part of that money. We're using 1970s radar. In that money, we get new radar as well. And we're going to have money to upgrade some of the towers, not all of them, and have a new en route facility that's going to be funded. So the big, beautiful bill is the one pathway we have right now that's going to start the funding, start the process, start the building, start the fixing of this old, antiquated system.
The FAA is still using copper wires while the rest of the world moves to fiber decades ago. That's incompetence that Trump inherited. But we're talking faster messages between air traffic controllers and their airplanes. We're talking completely more consistency. This is a game changer for the airline business. The service workers keeping their hard-earned tips, American innovation returning home, critical infrastructure finally getting fixed. The big, beautiful bill isn't just beautiful, it's transformative. And it's proof that when you put America first, everybody wins. Now, if you got some value from this report, please tap subscribe. And I'm going to get to my final thought. This is why they fear Trump. In one bill, he accomplished what the establishment politicians promised for decades, but never ever delivered. You think about it. Biden drove crypto innovation offshore let our infrastructure crumble, tax tips from struggling workers made us all poorer, more dependent, and Trump reversed all that in one master stroke, no auto pen. No tax on tips means thousands more in the pockets of hardworking Americans. Crypto coming home means we lead the digital revolution, not China. Modern air traffic control means that your family flies safely, more safely than we have in decades. You know, they profit from this from complexity and our failure, and Trump is delivering simple solutions that actually work. Now, here's my question. What's the holdup? Should Congress pass the big, beautiful bill immediately? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to show the world where you get your real news, check out our merch shop, linked in the description. Now, let's see what you have to say in the chat. What do we think? What do we think? Okay, there's some personal stuff in there. I'm not going to get. Big, beautiful bill is greater than than BBL. You guys are funny. You guys are awesome. Okay. Acadia Angel, 5x5. Winnie Mary, yes. That is a big, emphatic yes. I think you're absolutely right about that. Karen Finley, keep up the good work, Brett. I really, truly appreciate that. We've got a nice, fun, long week ahead of us, so we're gonna do our absolute best. Big fat girthy Bill. Overeducated SP. Yes, that is extremely funny. Sparky's Run. As long as they read it, yes, get it done. You're absolutely right. I wonder if anyone actually read Obamacare. That thing was supposed to be like 7,000 pages or something. It was something totally obscene. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, Nancy Pelosi didn't read all that stuff. Chuck Schumer didn't read that. There's no way. Anyway, for years, they told us it was impossible. And they said we couldn't stop the invasion. They called it racist to enforce our laws. They released millions of illegals into your neighborhoods, overwhelming your schools, destroying your communities, causing drugs, spreading crime. But something has happened that the media won't report, and even Trump's harshest critics are stunned into silence. What Border Patrol has accomplished proves everything that they told you was a lie. Every excuse, every justification for open borders was demolished by one single number, which is 0. They said it couldn't be done. And now ICE teams are deployed across the nation with a message that is sending shockwaves through sanctuary cities. And what you're about to see changes everything. Keep watching. Now, gold has always been the go-to safe haven during inflation and global uncertainty. And right now, prices are soaring to all-time highs. And this is why smart investors are looking at Opawika Explorations Incorporated, trading on the U.S. market under the OPWEF ticker. Opawika is a gold exploration company operating in the legendary Abitibi Gold Belt of Quebec, one of the richest gold-producing regions in the entire world, responsible for over 190 million ounces of gold from more than 120 mines. Their flagship properties, Bazooka and Arrowhead, are surrounded by multi-billion-dollar players like Yamana Gold, and they've just kicked off a massive 20,000-meter drill program across these prime sites. Who's backing them? Legendary gold investor Eric Sprott, who invested $1 million of his own money, clear validation from one of the most trusted names in the business. With strong infrastructure, proximity to proven mines, and leadership from CEO Blake Morgan, a third-generation miner, Opawika is strategically positioned for discovery. Now, currently, shares are trading around 11 cents, but with exploration underway, the upside could be absolutely explosive. Visit opawika.com to see their latest presentation. That's OPAWICA.com. That's opawika.com. Now brace yourself for the number that destroys every border argument. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt just dropped a truth bomb that has sanctuary city mayors in full panic mode. What is this historic announcement that changes everything? Take a look at the clip.
Trump's powerful efforts to secure our homeland are working. According to newly released numbers, last month, Border Patrol saw a 93% decrease of illegal aliens crossing the southwest border between ports of entry from May 2024 under Joe Biden, when they encountered more than 117,000 illegal aliens. And this particular statistic is absolutely astounding. In the month of May, under the Trump administration, 0 illegal aliens were released into our country by Border Patrol. Let me say that again. Not a single illegal alien was released into the interior of the United States of America last month under this administration. Let's contrast that to Joe Biden's failed leadership, where immigration officers were wasting their finite time and resources processing dangerous illegal aliens for release into the United States. President Trump immediately terminated that reckless Biden-era practice that undermined the rule of law, jeopardized public safety and our national security, and diverted critical resources away from stopping deadly drugs and violent criminals from entering our country. That's the reason why not a single illegal alien was released into the interior of the United States in the month of May. And as a result, we now have a border that is reaching unprecedented levels of operational success. The efforts by President Trump to stop the illegal immigrant invasion and secure the border in this short amount of time represent one of the greatest achievements by a presidential administration in the history of our great country.
0, zilch, zip, not a one, not a single illegal alien released into America in the month of May. Now let that sink in. Biden was releasing over 117,000 per month. And Trump brought it down to absolute 0. You think that's impressive? Tom Homan just revealed the enforcement operation that has sanctuary cities trembling. Over 1,000 ICE teams are deployed, and they're going exactly where the criminals hide. Take a look at this.
I can say we're enforcing immigration law every day. We've got over 1,000 teams on the streets every day across this country. And right now they're concentrating on sanctuary cities, so that's where the problem is. They knowingly release public safety threats, illegal aliens to the community every day. So that's why we're sending more resources to sanctuary cities. We don't have that problem like in the state of Florida, where most of the county sheriffs accept our detainers and they give us the illegal alien when they're done with them. So we got to concentrate where we know they're being released in the street. So that's why we're sending more resources to sanctuary cities to take the public safety threats off the street.
The sanctuary cities thought they could harbor criminals forever. And now they're ground zero for the largest enforcement operation in American history. This is absolutely groundbreaking. But here's what really terrifies the left. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons just announced that nobody is off limits anymore. Watch him explain the new reality that has illegal aliens self-deporting by the thousands.
I can tell you that under this administration, the entire portfolio of immigration and customs enforcement is open. We no longer turn a blind eye to someone just here in the country illegally.
And in terms of the car washes and the vegetable fields, are you finding MS-13 gang members there?
We have found gang members. We have found convicted criminals there at the location, but we've also found people that are conducting ID fraud, tax evasion.
MS-13, ICE is going to find you. And not just MS-13, because, we like to talk about, well, they didn't break any laws. Well, actually, they did. That's the important thing to remember here, is that if you are here illegally, you already broke the law. So the free ride is basically over. And for those who won't leave voluntarily, DHS just made them an offer they can't refuse. Take the money and run, or face consequences. Take a look.
Worksite enforcement is very much a cornerstone of our enforcement operations. But we find that there's drug traffickers there, human trafficking, labor trafficking. Oftentimes at these work sites, they're really exploiting these migrants, and they're using them for cheap labor. And so we're not going to take any options off of the table, but our number one priority is focus on those violent criminals.
So no options off the table, meaning ICE agents could go to any place, whether it be a place of business, a place of worship, wherever.
If we believe that there is a violent criminal illegal alien there, we will go there.
And I guess, what would you tell those who are not violent illegal criminal aliens?
I'm so glad you asked this, because the best safest option for them is to take advantage of the CBP Home app. We are offering those in this country illegally $1,000 and a free flight to head home and then potentially come back the legal right way. But if they don't leave now, they could be arrested, they could be deported, and they will never be allowed to return to this country. So we really encourage everyone who is here in this country illegally, self-deport now. It's the safest option for you.
That's a spectacularly generous and merciful deal. And I truly hope that some people take advantage of it. You can either stay, get caught, arrested, deported, and banned for life, or you could take $1,000, get a ride home, and maybe have the opportunity to come back. And this is totally generous on the part of the president. He doesn't have to do that. He could just say, peace out, and then you're gone forever. This isn't just enforcement. This is a complete reversal of a crisis that was completely manufactured by Biden and other liberal Democrats. Under Biden, Border Patrol wasted time processing criminals for release. They turned our officers into welcome wagons and drivers, taxi drivers for MS-13. They made an absolute mockery of our sovereignty, and it ends with Trump. You know, Trump ended it all in 1 month. 0 releases. That's not a policy change. That's a revolution in our border security. Remember what Biden's border looked like? Caravans storming the gates, invasions, children, babies, trafficked by cartels, fentanyl flooding our communities, Border Patrol agents reduced to changing diapers while drug dealers were literally walking free. And now, operational success at levels that we've never seen in record time. A 93% decrease in illegal crossings. Sanctuary cities under siege by federal law enforcement, criminals running scared. The message is crystal clear. America is closed for illegal business. We are no longer a dumping ground for the world's criminals. We're no longer sacrificing our children's safety for political correctness. Now, every parent who worried about their kid's school being overrun is vindicated. And every worker who lost their job to illegal labor is vindicated. Every victim of illegal alien crime, violently and otherwise, are finally going to get a semblance of justice. Now, if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. This is the biggest untold story of America. 0 illegals released in May. And think about what that means. Every rape, every murder, every overdose caused by Biden's catch and release is now preventable. For 4 years, Democrats flooded our communities with criminals, and they called you racist and xenophobic for having any objections or even any feelings about it whatsoever. They sacrificed your children's safety and their voter replacement scheme for a voter replacement scheme. Now Trump has proven that it was all a lie. The border can be secured. Criminals can be deported. Our sovereignty can be restored. And all it took was a little political gumption, the will to put Americans first. But here's what keeps me up at night. Sanctuary city mayors are still defying federal law, still protecting violent criminals, still putting illegals before citizens. My question, should sanctuary city officials be arrested for harboring criminals? Yes or no? I think everyone knows what my answer is going to be, but you can drop your answer below. And remember, real patriots wear their values. Grab your next news gear at the link in the description. Now let's see what we have to say in the chat. Let's go. Hey, Tom. We got a lot of friends in this chat. Gary has definitely built a gigantic army. People who are here to support each other in the Discord chat. Sam Deep says, be God, not of the world. Well, this is one of the things about libs is they all, they don't believe in God. They're atheists because they think they are gods. Karen Finley, say goodbye to all illegals. I couldn't really agree with you more. There was a time when when I had this a stronger sense of compassion, but this is what happens when compassion is weaponized and used against you. They've taken our charity and they've turned it into a mockery. Dave Fiorillo says, absolutely, Brett, they represent Americans. Absolutely. Pothead Kenny, if someone is illegal and they commit a crime, shouldn't they be charged as a habitual criminal? Yes, because that's 2 crimes in one, or so more than 1 crime in one. That's exactly right. And this is one of the weird things that people have to acknowledge, is that they're already criminals. Tom B gave us a super chat, $5. Thank you, Brett, N3 for life. I'm super grateful for that. That was really, really nice. And we're going to be rocking and rolling all week next week. All right, let's hit it. California is still burning, and I'm not talking about wildfires. What you're about to witness is the complete collapse of law and order in America's most liberal state. Gavin Newsom just tried to steal control of the National Guard from President Trump and got absolutely destroyed, flayed in court. But that's just the beginning. The streets of Los Angeles look like a war zone. American flags are burning while Mexican flags rise. Police officers are being spit on, pelted with bricks, surrounded by mobs. But where's the leadership? Missing in action, just like during the Palisades fire. What's happening in California right now is a preview of what Democrats want for all of America. You're going to want to keep watching. You know, when cities burn and order collapses, smart Americans protect what matters most, their wealth and their future. And that's why savvy investors turn to BioTrust's ageless multi-collagen during chaotic times. While rioters destroy your business and property values plummet, this powerful formula helps preserve what time and stress try to steal: your youth, vitality, your confidence. 5 types of collagens from 4 premium sources, hydrolyzed for maximum absorption. No GMOs, no artificial ingredients, just pure rejuvenation. Because when society crumbles, your health becomes your greatest asset. Visit healthwithgary.com today for 51% off. That's healthwithgary.com. Invest in yourself while others invest in destruction. Breaking overnight. Gavin Newsom just learned what happens when you try to challenge Trump's constitutional authority. Watch CNN's own legal analyst explain why California's power grab was doomed from the very start.
If I was in California's legal position here, I would tell the governor, you don't want to appeal this. You don't want to bring this up to the Supreme Court. Yes, you have the option to ask them to take it. That's your sort of last best chance here. But I think you're going to lose, California. I think if you look at this opinion, it was a 3-0 unanimous opinion from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. You had 2 Trump appointees and a Biden appointee on that court. I don't see any way any of the 6 conservatives on the Supreme Court say, sure, a trial-level district judge can overrule the president on this issue just because he disagrees. I even think some of the liberals might join with the conservatives on this, as we saw with the Biden appointee. So it's an interesting strategic decision. If they do bring it up to the Supreme Court, California, and if the Supreme Court rules again in favor of the Trump administration, then that's going to be nationwide binding, an even bigger loss for California.
Gavin Newsom is literally sitting here, probably jaw to the floor, watching his presidential aspirations crumble. Unanimous, 3-0. Even Biden's appointees sided with Trump. Newsom's rebellion crushed before it even began. But the left isn't taking this lying down. MSNBC is in full meltdown mode, openly speculating about martial law, of course. This is the gaslighting that liberals try to do. When we say uphold the law, they're saying martial law. They're speculating about martial law as if it's some sort of bad thing when we're doing good. Now watch their anchors spiral into conspiracy theories about Trump's next moves.
This decision, in essence, gives Trump the green light to use the National Guard in other states. And the administration has been hinting very publicly that they're going to go into New York City, Chicago, maybe some other states, all happen to be blue. What is the mood like, Elizabeth, that you sense from talking to lawmakers, state officials, about where this goes from here now that the president does have the legal green light to use the National Guard?
I can tell you that in New York City, if he deploys the National Guard in New York, it'll cause it's going to cause a giant outrage and create probably more violence than there would be anyway.
Isn't that what he wants?
Well, that's of course one of the working theories, that he wants to, create this all over the country and then, declare martial law.
A bunch of shakedown artists. They're basically admitting it, right? That sounded like a threat to me. Did that sound like a threat to you? If Trump comes into our cities, there will be major outrage and more violence. If you try to uphold the law, we will lash out. We will insurrect. They love that word these days. They know their street armies are ready to riot. I mean, if that's not a dog whistle, I don't know what is. And believe me, rioting, they are. Look at what Los Angeles has become. Protesters literally walking over dying drug addicts to chant against Trump. This is the Democrat utopia that they're trying to create. Take a look at this clip.
Crack Donald Trump! 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 Crack Donald Trump!
It's amazing. This is what happens when love wins. Stepping over the poor people that they say that they're trying to protect, right? They're just stepping right over them. They don't care. They just want to curse and get angry and protest in the streets. Oh, because there's someone in the world who's trying to restore order. That's the modern left in one image. The Dodgers just exposed how deep the chaos runs. They spread viral lies about ICE raids at their stadium, triggering Mexican nationalist rioters. Watch what happens next.
Look at these piggies. Get out of the street. Get out of the street.
It's insane that this is even allowed to happen, or has been allowed to happen for this long. Mexican flags waving at an American stadium built with American bricks and American ingenuity. Then they protest American law enforcement. This looks like nothing more than an invasion. I mean, can you just imagine if the shoe were on the other foot, a bunch of Americans going to some other country, acting like that, like a bunch of spoiled narcissistic brats? But patriots aren't backing down. Watch this explosive confrontation as BLM and Antifa, Trantifa thugs try to intimidate a conservative woman and then get checked by a real man. Take a look.
Hey! Do not touch her. Stand the fuck away from her. Don't touch her. Don't touch her. Those riot cops will come here and fuck you up. Don't fucking touch her.
That's what I'm trying to do. This is trying to antagonize us.
All I'm telling you, I'm having a conversation with you guys. When you touch her, you're gonna get fucked.
By who? The right
You're gonna get fucked.
Nobody's gonna
By
get
me and those people are gonna fuck you behind me. And that's something we both don't want.
Nobody's gonna fuck
They're
nobody
trying to
up.
antagonize us. They're gonna fuck you up.
They're trying to antagonize us.
Oh, they're just holding their shields just to be nice. They're holding shields just to be nice.
We're not worried about them. We're not worried about them. Donald Trump, why? We're not worried about them. We're not worried about them.
Okay, that's fine. If you're not worried about it, then touch
You're saying you do what Jesus does. If you're good for Jesus, then why are you talking about acting people up?
I'm saying, no, I didn't say
There's a Lord doing
I said
that.
if you touch a woman, I will fuck you guys
No one's
up.
concerned about touching a woman.
Anybody never touched her. I know you're not, but they are.
Well, then look, that's the women thing. Let the women handle what women handle. Let the men handle what the men handle. All right then. So let them handle that thing. If they're two women and they got a problem, let the women handle up. Don't be trying to bully women.
Women are supposed to be protected.
But then let them handle.
I don't give a fuck. Anybody touches her here, I will fuck her up. I will fuck them and handle herself. Okay, I'm just warning you.
If that's what the leftists mean by toxic masculinity, well, then you can sign me up and let me know where this guy gets his Cheerios. Okay, that's what you call protecting a woman. And it's a little bit rich for all the folks on the left who say that they support women and back women up, and then they're sitting here threatening her violently. Now, Victor Davis Hanson just delivered a death blow to California's failed leadership. His assessment of Democrat rule should terrify every American. Take a look at the clip.
All we're hearing from Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles and the respective governor of California, is that everything was peaceful. And then Donald Trump nationalized the California National Guard. And the result is chaos, but that's not what we see. We see people spitting on police officers. We see people throwing concrete at them. We see people looting stores. We see stores boarded up. We see buildings defaced. We see people taking over the street. We see people stopping 101 and major traffic. We see people waving the Mexican flag of the country they don't want to go back to and spitting and burning the flag of the country they insist on staying. So there's chaos. And the more that Karen Bass assures us that everything is fine, the more that we know that she's not telling the truth. And we're back to the Palisades fire where then she was physically in Ghana. Now she's mentally or psychologically somewhere else, but she's not the mayor as we interpret the mayor. So we're looking for positive suggestions from the opposition party.
You know, I seriously can't tell which cluster B personality disorder like best describes these people. You know, they're grandiose like narcissists. They make a display out of their outrage like a histrionic. They split the entire world into these cartoonish villains and heroes, and they'll sit there and spit on you and throw concrete at you like an antisocial psychopath. Maybe it's a milkshake. Maybe it's all of them put into one. Maybe we need a new cluster B personality disorder that describes what happened when you put all of those together. You could just call it leftism. You know, this is what one-party Democrat rule produces: total civilizational collapse, streets controlled by mobs, police under attack, citizens abusing their fellow citizens. Let's call it what it is. It's abuse. Now, remember the Palisades fire? Karen Bass was literally in Ghana while Los Angeles burned, and now she's mentally checked out while rioters destroy her city. This isn't leadership. This is abandonment. This is some sort of mental disorder. We're going to have to get into that a little bit next week. But the pattern is clear. Democrat cities become war zones. They defund the police, coddle the criminals, import the chaos, and then they act surprised when their civilization collapses. Then they blame the other guy. Sickening. Los Angeles today could be your city tomorrow unless we stop them. But here's the beautiful part. Trump now has full authority to deploy the National Guard anywhere. Chicago, New York, Portland. Nowhere is safe from the mob anymore, and that's the way it should be. The courts just handed him the ultimate law and order weapon. Newsom thought he could resist. He thought California could become his own little country, defying federal authority. What a putz. The Ninth Circuit just told him to sit down and shut up. That's big. This is bigger than one court case. This is the reassertion of constitutional order over mob rule. This is the federal government saying enough is enough. It is Trump's promise to restore law and order literally becoming a reality. Now, if you got any value from this report, tap subscribed. My final thought is next. Now, California is the canary in the coal mine. What you just witnessed isn't just one state's failure. It's the Democrat blueprint for America. Criminals elevated above cops, foreign flags above American flags, chaos above order. They turned the Golden State into a failed state, and now they want to do the same to yours. But Trump just got the green light to stop them. Federal authority trumps woke mayors. The National Guard trumps Antifa and Trantifa mobs. Law and order trumps anarchism and tyranny. Every blue city mayor watching California burn just got the message. Resist federal law, face federal force. The courts have spoken, the precedent is set. And here's what I need to know. Should Trump immediately deploy the National Guard to every sanctuary city? Yes or no? Sound off in the comments. If you stand with law and order, show it on your body. Show it on your bodice, on your person. Get your Next News merch at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Now let's see what we have to say in the chat. Let's look it over. National Guard, thumbs up from Karen. We got any super chats out there? Let's see. Oh, we got another super chat. Woo, from Tom B420. Thank you for that. Our board, the salt must flow. The salt must flow. I'm liking that. Thank you so much for all the super chats. We definitely love this. Corey Mays said the salt must flow. Salty crackers. Yes, send them time to end this. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. You know, that's my name too. Dave Fiorillo, yes, on the ground. Absolutely. I totally agree with Dave. Yes, deploy the Guard everywhere from Chris Orr. Miss Pothead Kenny, keep up the great work. Brett, thank you so much for that. I truly do appreciate that. And I will. Next week we have an explosive week for you. You're gonna love it. Now let's get to our next story. Okay. All right. We got another little bit of Pothead Kenny. You rocking it, Brett Yepers. Thank you so much for that. Mike Jones says, yes, deploy every sanctuary city and arrest the governors and mayors of those states. I agree with you implicitly. This whole entire country voted for Trump. And listen, it's an affront to all of us when these mayors and these governors try to basically take over the country and overturn a duly elected president. It's simply, look, but I'm not surprised, but it is still infuriating. Now we've got a very sensitive topic coming up next. You know, they call it gender affirming care. We call it for what it is. Narcissistic child abuse, psychopathic child abuse. For years, they've been mutilating children, pumping them full of chemicals, cutting off healthy body parts, all while calling you a bigot for objecting or even having feelings for it. They said it was settled science. They want you to believe your lying eyes. They said opposing it was equal to violence. They threatened parents who refuse to comply. They literally are taking children away from parents who refuse to comply with this madness. But yesterday, the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court, just dropped a hammer on this entire sick, demented agenda. What you're about to see isn't just a legal victory. It's the complete unraveling of one of the most evil movements in global history. The medical establishment is in panic. The activists are melting down, and the children, once and for all, they're going to be protected. You're definitely going to want to keep watching. Now, while activists push gender confusion onto your kids, smart parents are arming their kids with truth. But here's the antidote. We have Tuttle Twins magazine teaching kids real economics, liberty, and responsibility through comics and activities that make learning fun. While schools push progressive narcissism, teaching kids that they're victims who need government salvation and dependence, the Tuttle Twins show them that they're capable individuals who can think for themselves. No emotional manipulation, no identity politics, no platitudes, just truth about free markets, personal responsibility, and American values. Freedom is never more than one generation from extinction, and that's why you need to arm your kids with real knowledge. So subscribe now for just $56 per year at TuttleTwins.com/next. That's TuttleTwins.com/next. Don't let them be indoctrinated. Teach them to think. All right, the Supreme Court just delivered a throat punch, a death blow to the child mutilation industry. Now, let's just call it what it is. Giving kids hormones and cutting off their body parts, that's mutilation. Now watch Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt celebrate this massive victory for America's children. Take a look.
The Supreme Court, as you know, has upheld Tennessee's ban on transgender medical procedures for minors, puberty blockers, hormone therapy, etc. The White House reaction to that, please.
It's a huge victory for America's children, and it's obviously something this administration believes strongly in, that young minor children should not be allowed to be subjected to chemical castration and mutilation. The president himself has taken very strong orders, or has signed very strong executive orders on this, and we are grateful for Tennessee's efforts to protect our children, and we are grateful the Supreme Court ruled on the side of the law, but also on the side of protecting America's innocent children.
Chemical castration and mutilation banned. The highest court in the land just paved the way for something that we've all known since the beginning of humanity. We shouldn't even have to be having this conversation. You don't get to destroy healthy children's bodies. Now, April Chapman breaks down why this ruling changes everything. Watch her powerful message about protecting our kids from the trans and trans-Tifa agenda. Take a look.
Okay, bring it in. I got to bring up the speed. The Supreme Court, y'all, just said no. You do not get to experiment on children. The Tennessee ban on puberty blockers and gender surgery for minors, y'all, it is now the law. And the trans lobby, they are melting down. Their devil horns are coming out and they are big mad. So let me be clear. This is more than just a win for Tennessee. Y'all, this is a national message that's being sent, and I hope you are listening. Here's what you're missing, though. Obama is the one who lit the fuse on all of this gender chaos, okay? Lawmakers in Tennessee said no. This is not the direction in which this state is going to go. The Biden administration swoops in and says, hold my beer. They sue the state of Tennessee, and now the case has made its way all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the ruling was just issued, and the state of Tennessee won. Y'all, the SCOTUS, they drew a line in the sand and said, you will not mutilate children on our watch. So, if you're tired of lies and you're ready for some bold truth, I break it all down in my episode over on Unshakable with April Chapman. The link is below or in my bio. You don't want to miss this one. So get up here off this little real short thingy, and I'll see you over in the episode.
She sounds like a firecracker. We got to have her on the show one of these days. You know, Obama lit the fuse on the gender chaos. Biden poured the gasoline on it, and Trump just extinguished it with his finger, with his pointer finger and his thumb, with his fingers. But watch how the left is melting down. This ACLU lawyer actually argues that the government stopping child mutilation is somehow invasive. It's literally the opposite of invasive. The mental gymnastics here are staggering. Take a look.
The LGBT and HIV Project, the ACLU, and joins me now. It's good to have you here. I can imagine this is a pretty intense day.
It is an intense day, and it's intense to watch my clients talk about their experience as parents. And you and I are both fathers, and I think we, as many other parents, have had the experience of sitting in our doctor's office with our child and our doctor and making decisions together about what our children need. And what this case is about at its core is that Tennessee lawmakers came into that doctor's office and decided they know best and displaced that careful, reasoned judgment of those parents in Tennessee. And that is unimaginable and should be unimaginable for any parent.
I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
I find it so, what an invasion of this sacrosanct thing of getting your kid medical care or psychological, whatever care it is, that the government is going to tell you can't do it.
And I think the reality to hear, as with all parents and as with all serious medical needs, they grappled with it for a long time and did their own research and talked to doctors and talked to experts. And then finally, they come to a conclusion based on the recommendation of doctors, based on their own research, based on watching their child deteriorate. And then they get this medical care. They watch their child improve. That feeling of seeing your kid come back. And the government comes in and says, no, we're taking this away. And that is what today the Supreme Court greenlit in their 6-3 decision in Scrimeti.
There's a question in Scrimeti, which is the name of the decision, 6-3.
And the government comes in and they say no. That's a girl. That is a girl. This is all very confusing. I mean, not the part where we don't know the difference between what a boy and a girl is. But how does society get to this point where Chris Hayes is talking about like protecting children from getting body parts chopped off. That's invasive. That is protecting children from predatory medical doctors, social justice warriors who have themselves a degree, okay? And you know what college is like these days. You don't even have to read or write anymore, okay? So this just makes no sense. I'm so happy about this decision from SCOTUS. The victory extends beyond the courts. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth just announced the complete expulsion of trans ideology from our military. Could not be happier about this. Take a look.
Here at the Defense Department, we continue to relentlessly pursue the president's agenda, especially on readiness. He put out an executive order a week into his presidency, stating the prioritizing military excellence and readiness, that expressing a false gender identity divergent from an individual's sex cannot satisfy the rigorous standards necessary for military service. We agree, and so we implemented that policy. It was challenged in court, and of course, we appealed. And 2 days ago at the Supreme Court, our policy was upheld. And so we're going to continue to advance that policy here at the Defense Department. So, in accordance with policy now reinstated, service members who have a current diagnosis or history of or exhibit symptoms consistent with gender dysphoria may elect to separate voluntarily. There's a timeline here, and then eventually involuntarily if necessary. This is the president's agenda. This is what the American people voted for, and we're going to continue to relentlessly pursue it.
I am old enough to remember a time when you could be banned from the military for having flat feet. Now we are encouraging full-on profound mental illnesses. Forget the dysphoria part of it. That is also a part of the DSM-5. But just the narcissistic antisocial stuff, I mean, do you really want someone with this milkshake of mental disorders fighting for your country? Even if they're not trans, I mean, we should take a little bit of a closer look at that, I think. You want the most hardened warriors defending this country, and you want platoons that work in unanimity. Not these weird diversified thing, these diversification. It's good for all of us. Definitely not in the military. But here's the deeper truth that they don't want you to hear. This was never about the rights of the LGBTQ, LGTV, LMNOQP. Okay, it was about power. Now watch this gay conservative expose how the LGBT movement got totally hijacked. Take a look at this clip.
Hey there, Paul Ramirez. Thank you for coming along this journey with me through 70s and 80s gay America. That was a time when equality for us did not exist. You could lose your job and lose your housing for simply being gay. In fact, in 1986, I was fired from an investment banking firm, told by HR, we don't want gay men working here. Cut me a big check, and I couldn't even sue. No attorney would take the case. But I was there, I marched, I fought, and a lot of these guys whose photos you've seen all month long fought with me. Most of them are gone. And we fought for equality, which we eventually won. And here's a fun fact. We won it without any help from Congress, with little help from politicians, and zero help from corporate America. But today, they ride on our backs and they raise money off of us, telling us we're marginalized. Well, how did they marginalize a group that was already free? Well, they threw us in with the LGBTQIA+. They morphed it together and said, look, this group is hated. Let me tell you, gay men, you are not hated. Your masculinity is not toxic. And it's time to reclaim that birthright. What we fought for. Take back the word gay and stay away from the LGBTQIA+. Think about it. When was the last time Target, Bud Light, or a politician did something for you personally? Happy Pride Month.
All right. Some of my best friends are gay. And they're all most of them are pretty manly men. But I've been saying this for a long, long time. How is it that the gay community has let itself get co-opted by the trans community? The entire gay community rests on the fact that you're born this way, right? Well, the entire trans community rests on the fact that you could just change it any old time. You could be a boy one day, queer the next, a girl the next day, a furry the next day, a two-spirit the next day. It's all fluid, right? I don't even understand why they're in this, like they would even consider themselves to be in the same camp. But this is what happens when narcissistic psychopaths co-opt a perfectly legitimate movement. Now, Jordan Peterson warned us years ago. Watch him destroy the compelled speech argument that started this whole nightmare. And honestly, it kicked off his career. Let's take a look.
Debate that's been very controversial for you. And this is, you got in trouble for refusing to call trans men and women by their preferred personal pronouns.
No, that's not actually true. I got in trouble because I said I would not follow the compelled speech dictates of the federal and provincial government. I actually never got in trouble for not calling anyone anything.
Right.
That didn't happen.
You wouldn't follow the change of law, which was designed
not
to
once it was
outlaw
law.
discrimination.
No.
Well,
that's what they said it was designed to do.
Okay, you cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
Well, I'm very glad I put you on the spot.
Well,
I'm very glad that I have exercised my freedom of speech.
You get my point. It's like you're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what the hell's going on. And that is what you should do. But you're exercising your freedom of speech to certainly risk offending me. And that's fine. I think more power to you as far as I'm concerned.
So you haven't sat there and I'm just trying to work that out. I mean,
ha, gotcha.
You have got me. I'm trying to work that through in my head. Yeah, it took a while.
It did, yeah.
It took a while.
She's trying to wrap her head around her own hypocrisy. If someone who is allegedly trans has a right to be offended, then so does every other human being on earth. I mean, she's actively putting him on the spot like this, and he just flat out says, like, this is actually making me pretty uncomfortable. Like, first you start by misrepresenting and lying the situation that we're even sitting here trying to talk about in the first place. And then you go and just try to gaslight and project your own hypocrisy onto me, onto Peterson. You know, this is why an intellect like him only comes around once in a lifetime, because most people who have to deal with this, they surrender to the mob. They get doxxed. They lose their jobs. They get canceled. Now, listen to detransitioner Chloe Cole's heartbreaking testimony to Congress. This is what they did to our children. It's absolutely and utterly deranged and despicable and evil. Take a look.
My name is Chloe Cole, and I am a detransitioner. Another way to put that would be, I used to believe that I was born in the wrong body, and the adults in my life whom I trusted affirmed my belief, and this caused me lifelong, irreversible harm. I speak to you today as a victim of one of the biggest medical scandals in the history of the United States of America. I speak to you in the hope that you will have the courage to bring the scandal to an end and ensure that other vulnerable teenagers, children, and young adults don't go through what I went through. At the age of 12, I began to experience what my medical team would later diagnose as gender dysphoria. I was well into an early puberty, and I was very uncomfortable with the changes that were happening to my body. I was intimidated by male attention, and when I told my parents that I felt like a boy, in retrospect, all I meant was that I hated puberty, that I wanted this newfound sexual attention to go away, that I looked up to my brothers a little bit more than I did to my sisters. I came out as transgender in a letter I sent on the dining room table. My parents were immediately concerned. They felt like they needed to get outside help from medical professionals, but this proved to be a mistake. It immediately set our entire family down a path of ideologically motivated deceit and coercion. The gender specialist I was taken to see told my parents that I needed to be put on puberty-blocking drugs right away. They asked my parents a simple question: would you rather have a dead daughter or a living transgender son?
Speechless. Would you rather have a dead daughter or a living transgendered son? First of all, there's no such thing as transgender. It's not a thing. It doesn't exist. One cannot transition from one sex to the other. But the emotional blackmail that these people delivered to these parents is staggering. It basically amounts to sanction the slow torture of your child or they will die and it will be your fault. Hey, it's science. Now, Abigail Schreier exposed their corruption of language years ago. Healthy breasts become abnormal structures if a girl claims that she's a boy. And what we're witnessing here is the wholesale taking advantage of people who go through what every single person goes through if they grow up. Puberty, it's tough for everyone. It's not easy for anyone, boys or girls. And to take someone in such a vulnerable state and do this to them, it is absolutely criminal. Every single one of those people should be brought up on charges. Take a look at this next clip.
You're right. The activists have been very aggressive and very effective here in the medical accrediting institutions. But I think that at the root of all of these changes is a series of polite lies that we swallowed, unfortunately, in the public sphere. So in the last week, for instance, the California Insurance Commissioner has said that for the purposes of insurance in California, that breast surgery, top surgery, double mastectomy on healthy breasts for even teenage girls needs to be regarded no longer as cosmetic, but something that corrects abnormal structures. Because if you've accepted the lie that a young woman who says she's a boy truly is a boy, then healthy breasts become abnormal structures. This is the corruption of language. So you must remove them regardless of her age.
Yeah, this is an absolute corruption of language. It's a corruption of the medical industry. It's a corruption of parenting, and it's corruption of one of the most basic things that every single human being knows about. Puberty isn't the disease, it's the cure. Most people who have any sort of gender dysphoric feelings when they're in puberty, they come out of it by the time they're done. Matt Walsh asked the question that basically destroyed their entire movement. Watch what happens when you demand a simple answer to a simple question. Take a look.
With the fluidity of these things, how do I know if I'm a woman? You know,
That's a great question.
I like scented candles, and
Yeah.
I've watched Sex and the City.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
so how do I know?
Yeah, Matt, that question right there, that question is when it's asked with a lot of curiosity, right? That's the beginning of a lot of people's gender identity development journeys.
If my mom who gave birth to me is a woman, and my wife is a woman, though I haven't asked her, maybe I should. But if they're all women, and also the boy who sits down with you and says, I think I'm a girl, actually is one, then what is a woman?
Yeah. Great question. I'm not a woman, so I can't really answer that.
I don't care if you think you're a sheepdog and you come into my store. It don't matter to me. Just don't come in and try to shove that shit down my throat.
If it makes someone feel better, what about their feelings?
I don't give a shit about their feelings. I'm old.
What about in the Star Wars universe? Jar Jar Binks, pansexual, do you think? Transgender?
Why would I even care?
If it's his truth.
Well, it ain't true.
You're not a scientist. You're not a gender studies major. Or are you?
No.
No? Okay. How do you know that you're a man?
How do I know that I'm a, I guess because I got a dick.
I love that that Matt Walsh deadpan. You know, that clip is so telling. He's sitting here asking a person who is clearly a woman, who I guess fancies herself a man, what is a woman? And she says, I don't know. I'm not a man. This is the depravity of this ideology. This is how confused people have got. And then, of course, a man screaming common sense, he'd be cast out as a bigot, as a transphobe. Will Cain delivers the final blow. If everything is a protected class, then nothing is. Watch him expose why trans ideology destroys the very concept of equal protection itself.
With the fluidity of these things.
But when we get cases
about whether or not boys can play girls' sports, and we're going to get that case, they're soon going to have to answer whether or not trans is a protected class. You cannot reconcile that trans is anywhere akin to being black. And if you do, you have blown up the idea of protected class. Anyone can be anything at any time. They can be aggrieved. They can be a victim. They can be a protected class. And no law can be discriminatory if trans is also a protected class, because it defies definition in and of itself. And that means we no longer have definitions. So maybe in the end, that's the end of the.
Well, I would say that, you know, in a perfect legal system, you wouldn't need to have things like protected classes because everyone would be protected. But I understand the point that's trying to be made here. Being black, an immutable characteristic, and how does that come up against you if you could just declare yourself one thing one day and one thing another day? Like, why can't anyone just declare themselves a protected class? Why can't anyone just identify as having a protected class? You don't have to identify as anything else other than what you are. All you have to do is identify yourself as a protected class. The 14th Amendment is winning because of the SCOTUS decision, and this is it's a victory. It's a victory. I mean, it shouldn't have never had been a question in the first place, but when you're dealing with demented, narcissistic minds like the ones we're trying to fight against, you're going to come across this kind of thing all the time. This is just where intersectional feminism has brought us, and they hit rock bottom, and now we're scratching and clawing our way back to the top. SCOTUS just did this for us. You know, we're saving children from medical barbarism. Now, if you got any value from this report, please tap subscribe. And my final thought is next. Now, let's start with the gospel of our age, the leftist gospel of our age. I am whatever I say I am. And if you don't agree, you're a genocidal maniac, a bigot. You're a science-denying heretic. This isn't identity. This is identity theater. Transgender ideology doesn't reflect gender dysphoria. It reflects a narcissistic personality at scale, on a grand scale. Now, here's the trick. They construct a fragile, performative self-image. They demand that you validate it. And if you don't, cue the histrionics, screaming at school boards, gluing themselves to Starbucks counters, threatening self-harm like it's a Yelp review. Would you rather a live daughter or a dead son? That's blackmail. That's not empathy. That is emotional blackmail institutionalized. You know, we got kids who can't even legally drink, but they get puberty blockers after 2 Zoom calls with a social worker who is just a gender-affirming clinician. It's made up. No long-term studies, no psychological screening, just a fast pass to permanent sterility and mutilation. But because of Trump, no more barbarity. This is what winning looks like. You know, for years, they held our children hostage. There was a point when I didn't even want to talk about politics because I was afraid that someone might just come take him away. And my son is all boy. You know, you have to agree, according to them, that boys can be girls or they're going to take your kids. And not only do you have to tolerate theirs, you have to celebrate theirs. It's not good enough that you just leave them alone. You have to celebrate it. And if you don't celebrate it, you get canceled or fired or doxxed. They'll find a way to violate your kids somehow, whether you support them or agree with them or not. They're going to do it psychologically. They're going to do it physically. They're going to figure out a way. This is the anti-natalism that plagues the left. You know, if they can't get you from abortion, they're going to get you in preschool. Then they're going to get you in middle school. Then they're going to get you in high school. Then they're going to not prepare you for college. And then if you do manage to scratch your way out of college, they're going to take everything that you earn and spend it on Happy Meals for illegal immigrants or whatever. You know, the government is threatening to destroy families who resist this stuff. But we fought back. Your parents stood up States passed laws, and now the Supreme Court has spoken. America will not sacrifice its children to the Trans-Tifa cult. And every detransitioner's testimony, every parent's tears, every mutilated child has been vindicated because of the SCOTUS decision. The doctors who did this should lose their licenses and spend a very, very, very long time in jail. Like 1 count for each child that they treated in this way. You know, they make, like, there's a difference between killing 1 person and 2 people. Now, if you think about it, when you castrate someone or sterilize someone, you didn't kill them just now, but you killed any chance that they would have to have kids. That's like murder to me. Politicians who enabled it should be voted out. My question is, should doctors who performed trans surgeries on children face criminal charges? Yes or no? Please let me know in the comments below. And I want you to stand with us. Get your next news gear in the description. Now let's see what the chat says. What do we think here? What do we think about all this? Sabrina says, I love being a woman. It's nice. I've always wondered about that. Does that make me a girl? I've always wondered about it. What would it be like to be pregnant? What would it be like? What would it be like? Does that make me a girl? No. I'm sure some girls wonder, what would it be like to, stand up while you pee? Or other things. Does that make you a man? No, it doesn't make you a man. It makes you inquisitive. Let's see. I'm a woman, hear me roar, Tom B 420. I know for a fact you're not, Tom B. But that's right. That's exactly what they sound like. That is exactly what they sound like. Michael Jones says those doctors need to be arrested. I agree with you entirely. I agree with you implicitly. Robert Neal, American People's Wealth funds a system that will actually work for the American people. Everyone needs to stop lying to ourselves. Completely agree with you. Tom B 420 says straight to jail, and I totally agree with you. I think they need to be made an example of, like, large displays with, motorcades and paddy wagons and stuff like that. All right, let's get back. The Doomsday plane just landed at Andrews Air Force Base. Carrier strike groups are moving into position. The Ayatollah is hiding like a cockroach in a bunker. And President Trump just gave Iran 2 weeks to abandon their nuclear program or face consequences unlike anything they've ever imagined. This isn't saber rattling. This isn't diplomatic theater. What you're about to witness is the most dangerous nuclear standoff since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Our destroyers are already shooting down Iranian missiles. The military option everyone said Trump would never use, it's on the table, including tactical nukes. This is definitely a FAFO moment in history. The clock is ticking, the world is watching, and Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollahs, must decide. The mullahs. They have to comply or face annihilation. You're going to want to keep watching. Now, let's be honest. Most guys think their testosterone is being drained by aging, bad genetics, or maybe even a lack of exercise. But what if I told you that's not the real reason? In fact, the real culprit is something you're likely eating every single day. And here's the shocking part. It's something you've always been told is healthy. This one food has been scientifically proven shown to destroy testosterone levels, and most men have no idea. It's not junk food, it's not sugar, it's something way more unexpected. And just eating it a few times a week is enough to tank your testosterone, kill your motivation, and leave you drained. But here's the good news. Cutting that one food could change everything. The team at Sculpt Nation created Test Boost Max, a formula with 8 powerful natural ingredients that help support and restore healthy testosterone production without injections, prescriptions, or synthetic hormones. They've helped thousands of men build muscle, burn fat, reignite their energy, and get their drive back the natural way. And right now, you can watch their free video that explains everything. What this food is, why it's hurting you, and what you can do today to take back control of your body. Just go to sculptnation.com/NNN. That's sculptnation.com/NNN. Watch the video, get the facts, make the change. Test Boost Max is there for men who still believe in strength, discipline, and taking charge of their health. No prescriptions, no BS, just results. Now, Press Secretary Karen Leavitt just delivered Trump's ultimatum to Iran. This isn't negotiation. It's a final warning backed by overwhelming force. Take a look.
Trust in President Trump. President Trump has incredible instincts, and President Trump kept America and the world safe in his first term as president in implementing a peace through strength foreign policy agenda. And with respect to Iran, nobody should be surprised by the president's position that Iran absolutely cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. He's been unequivocally clear about this for decades, not just as president, not just as a presidential candidate, but also as a private citizen. In fact, I have some quotes for you. In 2011, President Trump said, America's primary goal with Iran must be to destroy its nuclear ambitions. We cannot allow this radical regime to acquire a nuclear weapon that they will either use or hand off to terrorists. In 2015, the president said the problem is that Iran poses an existential threat to Israel, our Middle Eastern allies, and the United States. And of course, the president has repeated that in his first term as president and his second term as president as well. That's why he was adamantly opposed to the disastrous Iranian nuclear agreement that was implemented by President Obama. And it's why he has given great latitude and given a lot of effort to achieving a diplomatic solution. But he's been very clear. Iran went for 60 days when he gave them that 60-day warning without coming to the table. On day 61, Israel took action against Iran. And as I just told you from the president directly, he will make a decision within 2 weeks.
60 days came and went. On day 61, Israel struck. Now Trump is giving them 2 more weeks. That is generosity and mercy that they don't deserve. These people are absolute criminals, war criminals. They chant death to America, death to Israel at their rallies. The situation is far more critical than anyone imagined. UN Ambassador Dorothy Shea just confirmed our worst fears about Iran's nuclear capabilities. Take a look.
Iran's leaders could have avoided this conflict had they agreed to a deal that would have prevented them from ever obtaining a nuclear weapon. But they refused to do so, choosing instead to delay and deny. We can no longer ignore that Iran has all that it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon. All it needs is a decision from their supreme leader. That is unacceptable, and this council must urge them to change course.
Yeah, we're definitely coming to a major precipice here because they have everything they need, except the supreme leader's final order, which all he has to do is give a thumbs up. And I mean, what country has a supreme leader anyway? Like God sent him down here to what? Obliterate other countries? You know, we're one decision away from a nuclear Iran. And the beautiful thing about this is that Trump's terms are non-negotiable. Watch Leavitt spell out exactly what Iran must accept or basically have their country turned into glass. Take a look.
What exactly would a deal with Iran need to entail?
No enrichment of a uranium, and it would absolutely not. Iran is absolutely not able to achieve a nuclear weapon. The president has been very clear about that. And by the way, the deal that Special Envoy Witkoff proposed to the Iranians was both realistic and acceptable within its terms, and that's why the president is sent that deal to them.
Zero enrichment, zero weapons, zero negotiations. This just makes total sense. I mean, it's not like they need nuclear enrichment in any sort of way for energy purposes. They've got more oil than any other country in the world. What they need is to be taken down a peg. Special Envoy Witkoff's deal was their last chance at survival. And now look at what's happening behind the scenes. Jesse Waters just exposed the massive military mobilization underway. This is real. Check it out.
Fox News alert, President Trump making it very clear that if America has to get involved in Iran, it'll end on our terms. And it looks like he's preparing for any scenario. The E-4B Doomsday plane just made an unexpected flight to D.C. The $500 million aircraft was designed to withstand nuclear blasts and keep top government officials safe when threats are off the charts. And it landed at Joint Base Andrews under the cover of night on Tuesday. Right now, the United States has 2 destroyers anchored in the Mediterranean, the USS Sullivans and the USS Thomas Hudner. Both of these $100 million platforms have been shooting down Iranian missiles. To the south is a carrier strike group, the USS Carl Vinson in the Arabian Sea just off the coast of Iran, flanked by 4 warships providing security to U.S. bases in the region, and a super carrier, the USS Gerald Ford. It's on its way and should be on the scene soon.
You know what bothers me about these Death to America chants? You know, it's American. I mean, listen, a little bit over 100 years ago, we didn't even have the most basic rudimentary airplane. Okay? And now the entire world is equipped. Like, the chants of death to America, they make me sick in that way. In no way has American technology not touched every other country in the world. How about a show of gratitude instead of rallies where we chant death to America? They're going to use our own technology to try to destroy us. The Doomsday plane designed to survive a nuclear war. Who does that except for us? 2 destroyers are already engaging with Iranian missiles. A super carrier battle group positioned to strike. Think about what you just saw. The E-4B doesn't deploy for diplomatic missions. This is the president's command center when nuclear weapons are in play. Landing at Andrews under the cover of night means one thing. We are preparing for the unthinkable. The USS Carl Vinson carrier strike group sits on the Arabian Sea, 4 warships providing overwhelming firepower. The USS Gerald Ford supercarrier is racing to join them. This isn't defensive positioning. This is an attack formation. Our destroyers aren't just watching, they're actively shooting down Iranian missiles. The USS Sullivan and the USS Thomas Hudner, each bristling with enough firepower to level cities. They're clearing the skies of Iranian threats. During a press gaggle in Morristown, New Jersey, President Trump was asked about Iranian's foreign minister suggesting that the U.S. should request that Israel halt airstrikes to show seriousness about negotiations. 60 days was a little bit serious. That's too long. They've been chanting death to America for decades. They're lucky that Trump gave them that much. But Trump did also address questions about European involvement and comparisons to the Iraq War's weapons of mass destruction. Of course, they're going to make some stupid claim, about some stupid comparison. It's just like Iraq. It's just like World War II. He's just like the Nazis. Take a look at this clip.
Mr. President, the Iranian foreign minister this afternoon said if the U.S. is serious about negotiations, that you would call up Israel and request that they stop their airstrikes. Will you make that request?
Well, I think it's very hard to make that request right now. If somebody's winning, it's a little bit harder to do than if somebody's losing. But we're ready, willing, and able, and we've been speaking to Iran, and we'll see what happens.
Mr. President, what was the thought process behind the 2-week timetable?
Just time to see whether or not people come to their senses.
Mr. President, did the Europeans help at all in talking with the Iranians?
No, they didn't help. No. Iran doesn't want to speak to Europe. They want to speak to us. Europe is not going to be able to help with this.
20 years ago, you were skeptical of a Republican administration that attacked a Middle East country on the idea of questionable intelligence of weapons of mass destruction. How is this moment different with Iran?
Well, there were no weapons of mass destruction. I never thought there were. And that was somewhat pre-nuclear. You know, there was a nuclear age, but nothing like it is today. And it looked like I'm right about the material that they've gathered already. It's a tremendous amount of material. And I think within a matter of weeks, or certainly within a matter of months, they're going to be able to have a nuclear weapon. We can't let that happen.
You know what the really terrifying thing is that the United States mainstream media press, Leviathan, can't even back our president up when we're sitting on the precipice of a global thermonuclear war. They can't even just give the guy the benefit of the doubt. They have to sit here and undermine him every single step of the way. But it's this kind of resilience that, Americans have been used to for hundreds of years. This is what should terrify Tehran. Jesse Waters confirms tactical nuclear weapons are on the table. Not strategic nukes that end the world, but battlefield nukes that end Iran's nuclear program forever. The Ayatollahs, the mullahs thought they could wait out Trump. He thought 4 years of Biden's weakness gave him time to build his bombs. This was a miscalculation. Israel already proved that they can strike deep inside Iran. Their Day 61 attack was a message. We can reach you anywhere. We control your skies now. Now imagine what that same precision strike capability backed by American tactical nukes. For decades, presidents talked tough on Iran and then folded. They signed deals that delayed the inevitable or even encouraged the inevitable. They pretended that sanctions would stop cult, fanatic, hell-bent religious fanatics on getting the bomb. Trump is done pretending. 2 weeks. That's all Iran gets. Accept the deal, zero enrichment forever, or face a military response that ends their nuclear ambitions permanently. No more delays, no more games, no more time. The world watches to see if Iran's leaders will choose survival or suicide, submission or obliteration. And, listen, the word Islam means submission. They're not going to be submitting to Allah. They're going to be submitting to the United States of America. Now, if you got some value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. This is it. This is going to be one of the moments that totally defines Trump's presidency and America's future, as if Trump doesn't have enough defining moments in the last decade. Iran has 2 weeks to surrender their nuclear program or face annihilation. No president since Truman has faced this choice: use tactical nuclear weapons or let a terrorist state go nuclear. The Doomsday plane circling Washington tells you Trump has made his decision. He will not be the president who let Iran get the bomb. Every appeaser who said we must accept a nuclear Iran, they're wrong. Every expert who said military options were off the table, they were wrong. Every politician who signed worthless deals, exposed. Trump drew the line and he means it. And the mullahs can't hide in their bunkers, the ones that are left of them anyway. But bunker busters don't care. They can threaten retaliation, but our arsenal ends nations. Now here's my question. Can you say this phrase? Rubber baby bunker busters. Rubber baby bunker busters. Type yes or no in the comments below. And we want you to get your news gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Now let's see what we have to say in the chat. Spot on Brett says, Dave, appreciate that. Kibbs Ellis, stop sexualizing young girls under 21 and legalize prostitution so it takes the health issues left to the men partaking in those. Very interesting take. I'm going to have to look into that. Zealots can go choke on. I can't say that on the air. Overeducated. Brett, you're killing it, man. Brian, Sofa Kings, read Todd did. Todd, you rock too, man. Great job, guys. You know, Todd's my baby brother. We do some pretty good work together. Maybe we'll play you some of our stuff next week. Hey, groomers, leave the kids alone. The #1 MAGA general. That reminds me of that bald, boyish chick standing in front of the car the other day. Let my people go. Leave our kids alone. That's right. Leave our kids alone. Sabrina, LOL, Brett. Thanks. Appreciate that. This is a fun job. Kibbs, Ellis, why is boob job different than removal? I'm going to pack that in my peace pipe and smoke on it for a second because I think I can explain to you why. We might have to do that at another time. Overeducated SP. Yeah, Brett, Todd, come to the Discord. I think we are going to pop in tonight. Joe Carroll, Dodds, thank you, Brett. I truly do appreciate that. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. It has been one hell of a night. Now, let's see what we have to say as far as the answer to our trivia question. Topic number 5, trivia answer question. Which president ordered Operation Eagle Claw, the failed rescue mission during the Iran hostage crisis? The answer is B, Jimmy Carter. There's basically nothing that man didn't do as president that wasn't a failure. All he did was just fail this country. But, you know, that's what ushered in we ushered in a nice time after that. Carter. Okay. I appreciate everyone for those chats, and especially all the super chats. We really, really love those. All right. You know, the Patriots. What a show. What a week. What a strange time to be alive. Week 21 of Trump's return just delivered victory after crushing victory. I'm going to break it down real quick just again so we can recap the one big beautiful bill. Oh, and it's so beautiful. Service workers keeping their tips, crypto innovators flocking back to the homeland, our ancient near-death air traffic control system modernized. Trump promised, Trump delivered. Every waiter, every bartender, every hardworking American who depends on tips just got a massive raise. Next, border truth, the truth they tried to bury. Under Biden, 117,000 illegals released in a month. Under Trump, zero, zilch, nada. That's right, 0. Tom Homan got 1,000 teams hunting down every last criminal invader. And this message is simple. Leave now with cash and dignity or get dragged out in cuffs and then banned forever. And then California. Gavin Newsom tried to hijack the National Guard, but the court said, sit down, Junior. The grown-ups are talking. Unanimous slapdown. Even Biden's judges said, nope, not happening. Meanwhile, their streets burn, cops get assaulted, Mexican flags fly where American flags should be flying, and Victor David Hanson nailed it. God, love me some Victor David Hanson. One-party Democrat rule equals civilizational collapse. And then came the moment we've been praying for a long time. The Supreme Court saved a generation of children. No more mutilation. No more chemical castration. No more gender medicine for kids. The trans agenda is dead. And Pete Hegseth is cleaning out the Pentagon. Parents won, sanity won, children won. Now on to Iran. You know, they've got 2 weeks to choose life or glass. The Doomsday plane is airborne. Carrier groups en route. Tactical nukes standing by. Trump gave them every chance, but they chose defiance. And now they'll choose survival or suicide. No more stalling. No more cash pallets. No more nuclear Iran. And to everyone who sent Rumble chats, you make this show so electric. Your energy, your fire, your refusal to bow to the lies, and that is what powers the raw feed. And this is what winning looks like. The establishment said Trump couldn't do it. The swamp said he'd fail. but they were wrong about everything. So here's what you do next. Text this show to your friends right now. Share it on every platform. Grab some merch. Wear your values like it's armor. And next week, we're going to do more winning. We're going to get more liberal tears. We're going to make more American victories. We're going to figure out what's happening in this world. Tune in to find out. Until then, my name is Brett Siegel, filling in for the great Gary Franchi, always free from your bigotry, racism, hatred, microaggressions, and patriarchy. We will see you next time on the Raw feed. Let's take it home.
It's a place to be. Live show. Come along with